Welcome to another episode of Decoding Chemical Engineering. We are here today with Mr. Abusaad Kazi, who is a chemical engineer and currently working in the paint industry and have been doing so for the past 7 years. Welcome, Abusaad. It is a pleasure to have you on the interview with us today. And before we begin, can you kindly tell us a little bit about yourself?
I have done my chemical engineering in Navi Mumbai, called a college called MGM College of Engineering. It's affiliated to Mumbai University during the year 2014. And I began my career, started working right after my degree. So I have initially done some training for 1 year in of kettle chemicals, where I acquired all the knowledge and what are the market and industry is been requiring, what actually the role of chemical engineers are in other chemical industries. So I want to acquire that knowledge, so I need some time. So I've done my 1 year training, and then right after I got an opportunity in a menthol company. Then I worked for 8 to 9 months. Then I got an opportunity in Saudi Arabia for a paint manufacturing company. So basically, my career started in Saudi Arabia officially, if you can say, because 8 to 9 months was not enough of work experience. The knowledge you learn is very different, and when you start working, it's a completely different setup, and you have to handle the pressure, the work culture, the colleagues, and you have to handle the chemical plant. So it's a completely different experience. So my actually the career started in KSA, Saudi Arabia. So I've done this in paint industry for 4 years, 4 to 5 years I've done. Then I thought I should move to the commercial aspect of it. So I joined in technical sales in one chemical distribution company for 3 years. Then I'm trying again to switch a job again in manufacturing and in technical sales, because whatever the knowledge I have learned in paint industry is been very helpful in getting me into the role of technical sales. So I realized that after a few years, you have to stick to one kind of field or one kind of setup which you are comfortable in and which your expertise are. So this was a summary of my entire career. Exactly.
Great. Thank you so very much. Thank you. But we are going to ask you a lot more questions to get a lot more information out of you. So,
yeah, Hamza, see, my whatever I will be discussing just for the betterment of future engineers, because way ahead, if you go 2014 or 2013, the internet, LinkedIn was not booming. And people like me or students like me are hunger to know what is going on in the market. So my knowledge or whatever I will answer your question is totally based on my experience. Maybe some other will have a different sort of experience or learning what they have done. So totally based on what I have worked and what I've learned. So it is totally based on my experience.
Of course. Yep. Thank you. And of course, you're very right. I mean, no shoe fits everyone. So everyone has a very unique experience and very unique decisions. But still, having said that, it still helps a lot to get an insight from someone that has walked the same path. Because even though you're walking on the different paths, you're still in the same forest. So it's a good idea to get different insights. And thank you so very much once again, for being with us here today and for taking time to share your insights. Because that's not a lot of people that are willing to do so.
Yes, rightly, you are doing an excellent job, because it is very helpful for the future engineers to know what is going on in the market. And secondly, the networking is very much important nowadays, since the competition and the range of engineers is being spreading. So exactly. It's very important to have the network right now. So
exactly. Yep.
Good work, Hamza.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But then for the very first question that we have for you is, what brought a young man back in the day into the world of chemical engineering?
Yes, actually, what happened when you are learning and we are studying, there are some of the inspiration teachers. So, when I'm learning during my school days, I was very much motivated and inspired from teachers. So normally when I started, I was very interested in maths because my maths teacher was very good at it. So slowly, gradually, my aunt was very expert in mathematics. She was very good at it. She used to teach me till the time I was in sixth standard or seventh standard, something like that. Then I went to get some, private coaching. Then I met with some professor who is very good at chemistry. He was excellent. Really, it helped me a lot. And that inspires me to get into the zone of chemistry and get into the zone of, the chemical knowledge. So I used to see shampoos, hand soaps like this, some small things you are very eager to learn. Same like automotive industry, when you see cars and when people are more interested into that engine and that specification. So similarly, this kind of thing was happening to this chemistry world. So the teachers, you can say, really inspired me. If I go to my junior college, my chemistry teacher was very good at it. And then when I go to the degree college, I have a good teacher in that as well, in the field of chemical engineering. So he make my motivational level like a double to get into this field, know the technical knowledge and this and that. So really, teachers inspired me, frankly.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. And a lot of times people really tend to forget this fact, but teachers, they're not there just to teach a specific subject, but they are there to make a very strong influence on their students. And,
Exactly.
And having a good teacher really sets you up for life. Always looking back to the things that they taught you. So it's really remarkable that you have had such a strong influence from your teachers, and then you spoke to continue in that field.
True, because that time, Hamza, coaching classes and that was not on the commercial scale. Private private tuitions and school teachers played an important role during that time. Some of my school teachers were amazing, some of my private teachers were amazing. So you have that connection with your teachers. So when that connection has been done, you have that inspiration, you feel that guru is the real guru.
Exactly.
So it inspired a lot.
Exactly. I mean, you're very right. I mean, nowadays education has also moved towards the commercial aspect, and they have lost that student teacher inspirational touch, I guess.
But you cannot blame teachers. See, he needs to handle 100 to 150 students at a time. So he is burdened with that. He cannot give each other that much amount of time. He is busy with that. But earlier days, I see in my private tuition 7 to 8 students. Maximum. So a teacher knows what is his weakness and what is his plus point, and he is able to focus on him day in and day out. You can call him anytime, you can ask him anytime, even before the exams, you can go to and get your doubt solved. So this has really inspired me. True. And I try to follow this in my future generation also.
Amazing.
Really, because that will inspire students to learn new things. Even if you say socially, and even if you say in the work of knowledge also, both.
Amazing. That's truly amazing. And I'm sure your teachers are very proud of you when you speak of them in such high regard.
Thank you so
truly
much.
Remarkable. But then now let's jump into and talk about your industrial experience. Now, I know that you said that your career officially started when you moved to Saudi Arabia, but there was still a small, short period where you did work in India. Yes. So talking about that, when you graduated, where did you work as a chemical engineer in India?
See, first, when my degree got completed, I started giving my CVs, going to the industrial area practically and giving CVs all to my chemical industry through gate. I used to give to the security person. He used to give to the HR. So this was the the LinkedIn that time. It was not too much, and that time I got a call from one company. They were filling the position of a trainee. So they need some trainee because it was a big multinational company. So they have the position of trainee. So they have given me specific roles, you can say, specific roles and responsibility that you will be trained for 6 to 8 months. and you have to do this amount of work. So this is your salary, and if you're okay. So they have asked me for an interview. I went for an interview. uh, Interview was bad. It was terrible to tell you frankly, because I don't have the knowledge of the industry. Really, I have that bookish knowledge which we learn, the unit operations, the process calculation, the fluid flow. But I feel the chemical industry work on economics is very much important. So he asked me certain amount of question which I was surprised. For example, he told me that there is an heat exchanger. I have to increase the heat from this to this. So what is the important factor? So I am a fresher, and if you ask me this, I will open all my books and tell him the shell and tube and the counter flow, co-current flow. Said nothing. The energy which I'm investing is important. How much energy I need to spend in this so that my temperature is gone from this and that, and how can I reduce? So that time, the mind get out of your book, and you try to know that what is the industry, what is around. It finally learns on economics. So you should have that basic knowledge with you, that you have to reduce the energy, what you have to do for that. This is why the chemical engineers are hired. You need to know which pump you need to use for a specific viscosity of fluid. This is basics, and we are learning the unit operation in a certain way where we forget the basicality of that. So this was my experience, and I really surprised. He was the vice president of that company. Really, he interviewed me. He took out some time and he explained me. Then with my interaction with him, I landed on that job because it was a trainee job. They will train me. So then I began to learn how it works, how is the chemical industry works, what are the utility division, what are the environmental division, what A to B goes. You need to know how A to B goes, what are the process involved in it, what are the recipes. So this was my first, you can say, experience. Then when I went to the another company, I was well prepared because I know what it requires. So my interview was good for that job. I got that job as a production engineer. I worked there for 8 to 9 months. But then since, this was 8 to 9 months was very challenging for me because the pressure when you work is completely different than what you learn. So you need to be molded in such a way that you can handle whatever situation you are up to. Whatever situation. So that's why the basic knowledge takes place, an important role there, because the plant is big. There are many problems you have to solve. So how you can solve? This is your challenge.
Exactly. And I fully agree. I mean, there is a huge gap between what you read in the books and what is happening in the industry, of course. You don't really get that, even though something is very basic in the industry, that many times you don't really find that knowledge in the books. The only way to learn that is actually being on the field in the industry and learning exactly from the experts. Because now you did your first job as a trainee, and for the people who don't know, can you briefly tell what exactly is a trainee?
See, trainee, it's something, what I have done is just, you have to learn everything. So initially of your career, if you're not doing masters or you're not doing any other, study work, and you really want after bachelor to really work and you are committed to work, whether it will be financial or whether it is a knowledge to learn, whatever it is. So first 2 to 3 years, I suggest you should be you should be open to everything. You have to do whatever you want to gain knowledge, whether it is a reaction or whether it is the process involved in it, whether it is what raw material you are buying and what you are getting out of it, and how the entire circle is moving on, how the work culture, how the software is working inside a factory. So initially 2 to 3 years, you have to learn everything, and then you are in a position to decide which field I need to go in. So after you learn and absorb everything, So you can select, okay, I am interested in this kind of field, I love this work, I can able to do more amount of work. So whether it is quality control, whether it is production, I have got training in everything. And that is a good point of that company, that they will literally ask me to give report, make an Excel report or make a presentation, and what you learn and what you are adapting on it. And it was a kind of great experience. I used to work in shift as well, morning, afternoon, night shift, everything. So in terms of commercial, they have teach me what are the reports the upper management requires, what you need to make the batch process, how you are making the PLC control, quality control. So I have learned 6 months, 8 months, everything related to that. Then I thought maybe production is a good field where I can work and handle the plant very well. Then I tried to get into the production. So this is what I have been went through the process. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And you're very right, because once you graduate, you have to be open to everything. You can't be doing cherry picking once you graduate, you don't really have much to offer to the industry other than just your degree. So you have to take
Yeah.
the very anything that comes on the plate and
Right.
just
Right.
great.
So secondly, what I need to say is that sometimes, the college have some openings, and, you got selected to that. Then it is okay. You are into that field and you know your roles and responsibility. But when you are jobless, for example, there are, if you can see, the pool of chemical engineers got selected in a university is very less. I think so, 17 to 20% maximum. And what about the other engineers? Where they will go? How they will find a work? So I think so. This is a good way to find a work, that you have to be open to everything, learn, extract knowledge, use your knowledge in your future job opportunities. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, I guess if you compare chemical engineering graduates with mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, then I guess the positions that come along are much less compared to those lines. So you really have to just grab any opportunity that you can get and not be too picky when it comes to, especially in the very beginning of your career. So that is very nicely said. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's then moving on from your Indian experience, let's move on to when you landed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Uh,
Yes.
when did you move to Saudi Arabia?
It's been 7 years now. I think so. It's been, I think, 5 to 6 years before. I got an opportunity through one of my friend. He sent me a WhatsApp message that one consultant group is hiring chemical engineers or production engineers. You can try on that. He told me that there is a Jordanian manager who's been arriving, interviewing with many of the candidates. So I went for that. I have given some interviews, and he liked my knowledge and my ability to work. And the great thing was that he was not sticking to one kind of responsibility. He was saying that you have to perform this also, you have to perform this also, you have to, because in Saudi Arabia, what happens, there is a high chance that you will land in a job. You have to perform many responsibilities. So one reliever should be there for you to get your work done. So if I'm going for a vacation to India, there will be a reliever for me. I will explain to his job responsibility, and you have to perform for 2 months. So like that, he needs that versatility. So the training which I've acquired, it helps me in cracking that interview also, because I know this, I know that, A, B, C of that all division, I know. So he was happy with that. And then I got that opportunity working. So this is how I got an opportunity in Saudi Arabia.
Amazing. But still moving to a different country, any country, that tends to be a very big decision for anyone. And normally, moving to a country like Saudi Arabia, where of course you have a completely different language, a very different culture, that tends to be even bigger decision, because then you really have to adapt to a very different environment, just like you said earlier, different work culture, different people. Uh, Did you think about any of that before making that decision, or did you feel that this opportunity is great for my career and then you just went with it?
See, actually, my relatives, if we can
Mm-hmm.
say, are already working in Middle East. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when I talked to them, I got an brief idea how the work cultures are there.
Mm-hmm.
I took that decision just because Saudi Arabia is the reserves of oil is the largest
Mm-hmm.
globally, if you can say.
Yeah. Yep.
So for a chemical engineer, it's like a big market for them for there to work.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, what I've heard from my relative that the work culture is quite open. You get that backing. Uh, I'm not saying that India work culture is bad, but I say that in in India, what happens? You are stick to that specific 9 to 5 job,
Mm-hmm.
which I find interesting in Saudi Arabia. Why? Because the work is quite diverse. You can work. You have that talent. You have that capability. You can work in different field also.
Mm-hmm.
So the backing is strong, and it is open to that. So that's the reason why I was aware, because my relative have given me the idea. And financially, even if you say the terms are way higher
Mm-hmm.
than any Middle East country. Even if you say UAE, I know it is the hub, but corporate level it is the hub. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of industrial wise, Saudi Arabia is way above in terms of land, in terms of capacity. So that is the reason why I thought, yeah, we should give it a go, because I was still learning. I was having not enough of experience. I thought, why not? And if I
Mm-hmm.
am open to so much of diverse work culture, I will able to know what is going on. I
Mm-hmm.
can get more knowledge, meet different people, know how the system works outside.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the closest Asian country. This is the closest near to the Asian country,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to explore myself in Western or the Western countries and US. It's my personal thought. I feel that still I need to don't forget my roots.
Mm-hmm.
My roots is in India, and I don't want to in my future my son or my daughter will forget who stays in India, my relatives and all of that, and I'm suddenly isolated in some other Western country. This is my personal choice. Yani.
Of course.
Maybe
Yep.
some are thinking different. I may be more theoretical, not practical enough. But
Mm-hmm.
I felt that there is a need to connect to my roots.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no other option other than Middle East to get an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity.
Okay, amazing. But then it seems like you really did put a lot of thought into selecting Saudi Arabia. It was not just at the heat of the moment, but you actually had a lot of you had a lot of thinking behind selecting Saudi Arabia as your workplace. But then in the past 7 years, what different roles have you worked in Saudi Arabia?
See, I was initially in production as a production manager. I worked
Mm-hmm.
in purchase as well. I was buying chemicals also. I worked in quality control as well. I have done some research work as also, some approving some chemicals for my factory. So in that 4 to 5 years was really, you are just like working in a university.
Mm-hmm.
The my manager, if I've done my work, he doesn't care what I'm doing. So he is very free, he is very open, and he is very motivated me a lot in that sense. So in that 3 to 4 years, I have learned many things what is happening in coating industry, especially in paint industry, especially what I'm making from raw material to the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
So that backing was very strong for me, and I have handled. See, sometimes what happened, you cannot perform your work properly once you are doing multiple tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So that one thing really need to taken care of. But once you are eager to learn, to get more knowledge, you can work. You can
Mm-hmm.
work. There is no limit for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It all comes down to how much work you yourself are willing to put in, of course.
Right.
At the end, that your own motivation and your own hard work that tends to win the race, of course. But then, what role are you working in right now, as of today?
See, as of today, I'm working as a technical sales. I'm selling paint chemical raw materials, coating chemical raw materials to customers. Since I have the background of paint manufacturing, I've worked in paint manufacturing. I can really give a solution to customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like this raw material will give you specific type of, the advantage in your production, and you can get this benefit, and what are the value addition you can get. And I can understand the customer problems, what they are facing, because I was in that background. I have sit in that chair
Mm-hmm.
during my paint manufacturing days. So I'm able to relate the problems. I can able to relate customer solution. I can be able to relate whatever the customer says to me. So it is a win-win situation when you have already been able to handle that position before, and you are giving that extra benefit to that
Mm-hmm.
customer. So that helps me a lot. So I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
currently the technical sales business, which is supplying raw materials to all my customers in western region of
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia.
Okay, amazing. That sounds like a great role. But then, how does your normal work day look like? An average day in your life?
See, average day, the initially 2 to 3 hours, you can say
Mm-hmm.
emailing about your pending inquiries or queries or whatever is there. And then you email everything, and then you visit them, meet them. Sometimes sales is such a thing, Hamza, that once you don't have that relationship, or, the communication with your customer, it feels more a robot way. So once you are connected, this is the customer and he needs this, and his behavior pattern is like that. So you are able to mold him in such a way that you can give him what he wants. So that will come when you interact. So visiting gives you a way better idea, so that you can interact more, you can get more information, you can go more knowledge, what he is planning to do, what his next step is. So this is what I do. I 2 to 3 hours I email customers, defining my products, what are my products I'm pitching to them, viscosities, densities, all the chemical terms you put in that email better in a proper way, so that
Mm-hmm.
customers have an idea, okay, this is the product he's representing. Then you meet them, and then sometimes you need to do lab work. You do lab work with them,
Mm-hmm.
and then back home. It's over. 8 to 9 job. This is my 8 to 9 lifestyle right now. Before, what I was doing, sometimes I'm handling production. So I should complete that amount of target batches. So paint or coating batches, I need to complete that. So I will give the rules and responsibility to my operators, explain them what product you have to make, what you have to do after the break, after before the break, how much is the output. The production wise roles and responsibility. And then once the day is over, 1 hour before, he will come and he will explain everything, that this is how we made this, and this is how we are left with. Sometimes the target are not achieved, and you have to go it to the next day. So he will give me the update, and in that 8 hours, there is some problem, there is some issues, you need to solve it. Maybe it is related to production, maybe it is related to the manpower. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, you have to solve it, and then you are done with the day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so the two different jobs I have explained you what I've done.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So you have had both a field job, like being on the shop floor all the time, and also having a an office job, which is more demanding and more challenging.
See, I definitely feel both are challenging. Both are
Mm-hmm.
challenging, Hamza. Actually, sometimes it's very difficult to have that much of energy and do the same amount of production
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. And the same similar way in sales as well. Sometimes you need extra amount of effort to actually take your car on and go to drive 200 kilometers and to meet one customer and then come back home. So both are very challenging, I can say. Both are very challenging, and both are, is not easy. You are getting an chemical engineer are an asset to the company. You can say an
Mm-hmm.
asset. So what asset can do? They need to provide some profits to that company. So you need to think that way, in
Mhm.
terms of what I can give the value addition.
Mhm.
So once you are stick with 9 to 5 job, sometimes you feel now it's going, let it be, it's going. But no, you have to be proactive. Proactive.
Mhm.
What you need to do to be more, in the in front of the owner, in terms of front of the management, you can prove your capability. So
Mhm.
both are challenging in different ways. Yeah, both
Okay.
are
So
challenging.
amazing. Well, that's quite nicely described. So they're both demanding in their own ways. You have
Yeah.
driving 200 kilometers is just as difficult as being on the production floor every day. So of course, that's fully understandable. Which soft skill and hard skills do you feel that you use the most? For example, for your technical sales job, which skills most come in handy?
See, soft skills, really, I was not aware when I got
Mhm.
the job. I was not good at emailing. You know,
Mhm.
since I was in field in production, I would never concentrate on email. I would write anything. But once I
Mhm.
got this sales job, my manager who hired me, he taught me how to, be
Mhm.
very good at emailing. Your communication and your emailing should be good. Otherwise, sometimes what happened, there are many engineers, for example, I'm saying, and if you cannot present your thing properly, then it becomes difficult,
Mhm.
Hamza,
Of
because
course.
what will go out of your way, many things,
Mhm.
but how you can describe, how you can present is very important, very important.
Of course.
So that is the soft skill, the communication and emailing. That's what I have learned.
Mhm.
That was not been, in terms of technicality. I've never know that before.
Mhm.
So this is the soft skill. And hard skill. See, hard skill is that you have the technical knowledge which you have to apply.
Mhm.
So practicality, you can say, which is missing in many chemical engineering universities right now. I
Mhm.
don't know about the other, but in India it's missing. In missing, many engineers don't have that practical facility to work, which is very important. Which is very
Mhm.
important. When I landed my training, I was shaking my hand to do any testing,
Mhm.
because I am new. I don't know that how the instrument to be run, what test. Is the hard skill, you can
Mhm.
say. Do it on your own. Whatever it is, you can do it on your own.
Okay, perfect. And I fully agree. I mean, the practicality application of chemical engineering, that is truly missing in, I would say, not just in India, but probably in all the universities around the globe, because they teach you a lot about the theoretical aspect, but how to actually use it in the real world, that is still missing, and the students are clueless when they go out in the industry looking for jobs. So that is very rightly said. Uh, but regarding communication, and you were very right when you said that communication is key. It doesn't matter how much you know, but it's more about how much you can convey to the next person and make sure that the other person understands it. But I would like to go back to when you were working in production, for example. And there, when you have, because as a chemical engineer, you really have to work a lot with operators, conveying information to them, giving them orders what to do, telling them what to do, and arranging all the problems and so on. How difficult do you feel that it is for a chemical engineer to convey the information ahead to the operators? Because even though they are technical people, but they don't necessarily have the chemical engineering mindset. Could you speak a little bit about that? Like, how do you feel that the other engineers can really practice themselves or prepare themselves to convey, to tone down the information at times for operators?
Yeah, right, Hamza. That's a good question. Actually, what happens when you're working with operators or laborers? They are not aware. They just
Mm-hmm.
know that this is A, this is B, this is
Mm-hmm.
C. Even they don't know ABC also, some of them. So, what really you need to know is, when you are working, you need to know what this guy is potential of. We need to understand this guy is capable of how many things he can do, and this guy is capable of how many things he can perform. So what, when you will know this? You will know this when you make a safety meeting, or you make any meeting with explaining this. So you have your senior operators handling your your sum of amount of work which you have. So your senior operators will guide you, sir, this guy knows this much knowledge, don't deal with him, don't tell him to do this, he cannot perform. Sometimes you will learn when he do the mistakes.
Mhm.
Mistakes happen, it's a human.
Mhm.
You cannot be 100%. Even I am doing some amount of work, I perform some mistakes, it's a human error. So slowly working 1 or 2 months, you are blank, you are just evaluating stuffs. So
Mhm.
after 1 or 2 months, okay, this guy is capable of this, I can only give him this work. He doesn't understand a certain amount of chemical terms, so I will only give him to bring the forklift, take the chemical and just add it, that's it.
Mhm.
So you divide when you do the meeting, you do the safety meeting, and you see what amount of. So you need to be in that field. You need to know the production aspect of it. That you are working. That okay, this guy is doing this guy is doing that production, and he's facing this problem. Why is facing this problem? Because he doesn't know that. So based on that, you will segregate them, and do the specific amount of duty only.
Mhm. Yep.
Even for even if you are doing the quality control work, so quality control work, you need an assistant, you cannot perform every batch quality testing. So
Mhm.
there are 2 or 3 chemists under you, you need to know this chemist can perform certain duty, this chemist can only perform certain cannot perform this duty. So you need to know 1 or 2 months, you need to gel up with them, then you are able to identify, okay, I will give this role to this guy, give this role to this guy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think so. It will take 1 or 2 months to understand that. Initially, you will
Amazing.
not know. Yeah, initially you will not know. You will perform mistakes. Many mistakes happen.
Mhm.
It's natural. Yeah.
Of course. Yep, of course. I mean, in mistakes, so they are human nature. But that's really amazing about chemical engineering is that because even though you are working in production, you're not just an engineer working with unit operations and all the calculations, but then you also kind of have to be a people's person, really identify the weaknesses and strengths of the person standing in front of you, and make the informed decision about what to do and what not to do. And that's truly amazing.
Yeah, unit operation, I think so. Whatever I have learned in my university, I
Mm-hmm.
failed to figure out what I will share you, Hamza, that unit operation are a way to bring to bring a product A to B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but sometimes people forget that unit operation is one of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is how the A should go to B.
Exactly. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So, once your chemical, if you are working in a chemical plant, the unit operation is already set up.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you need to learn
Mm-hmm.
about that unit, he is performing that duty unless and until there is scaling, there is falling, or the tray is damaged or something like that. You need to solve that. But the unit operation is already been done. There are some process engineers who have already developed that product. So
Mm-hmm.
what you have to have that knowledge, basic knowledge, that how to get that product from A to B with all
Exactly.
the difficulties and all the the problems which you face in day to day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that is something very rightly said and very interesting because uh, this is many times many chemical engineers actually forget that when you go to the industry, everything is already set up before you came there, right? The production plant is there, the unit operations are there, everything is being produced, everything is optimized. You just have to make sure that everything works as correctly as possible. Following up on that, because now you have had so much experience in so many different sectors of the industry, and you said you felt in the beginning that your real learning came after when you graduated. Uh, Let it be in the Indian company or it be in Saudi Arabia. Looking back, how much of chemical engineering did you actually use in the industry, or did you feel that that was only a stepping stone and the real learning came afterwards?
No, no, no. I think so. Some knowledge are very important. Very
Mm-hmm.
important. And, it should be balanced, completely balanced.
Mm-hmm.
So when you work, you get knowledge which is very different. When you are in university, your knowledge is completely different. There is one good case I will give you an idea that you will be clear about it. Is that once we were deciding a pump, which pump we need to buy. So mechanical department is not involved in deciding the pump. So you say and you give him that I need this pump, they will buy and they will install it. So the maintenance department is not involved what need to be buy. So you are the chemical engineer. You need to understand what fluid you are working with first. Second, what will happen if that fluid is working at high temperature, and what will happen in that case. It will form a air trapping in centrifugal, or it will trap a diaphragm valve. What will happen? So that time you are aware, okay, I need to study my books, what I need to decide. So you have an interesting books where you select the fluid based on the viscosity and what type of pump it is required. So, the knowledge is there, but if you can say 40-60 of technical knowledge is used every time your decision is basically based on that knowledge, and 60% is the work which you have to do.
Okay.
So yeah, it is important. Knowledge is very important. Sometimes I think so in that 7 to 8 subjects which we learn, for example, in chemical engineering, I expect from students to at least get basic out of it, not to learn everything and every aspect of it. So what a book is trying to say, for example, a fluid flow operation, what is trying to say is saying to study the flow of fluid. So what that fluid need to have that property in it to get involved in that practical application. So the basic of all should be there in your head. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mean to say, like, the core foundation of your knowledge, that is of course what you get from the degree, but then when it comes to the application aspect of it, how to use it in the real world, that is something that you learn once you go out. But you can't have one without the other, so they go hand in hand, and you have to keep it balanced. You can't you can't skip the classes and expect to learn everything on the job, so that's not going to happen. That is just building up on what you've learned.
You will land the first or second interview, you will land with all the basic question. You don't have experience. What you have in your bag, what tools you have is the knowledge which you study.
Of course.
And they will ask a basic question, like I said to you, the heat transfer one. Second day, one of the interview, they asked me interesting question that how you calculate density.
Okay.
These are the basic questions which we failed in terms of calculation and unit operation. We failed some basic ideas of what we need to know. So the core is important. You have that tool with you. And based on that tool with you, you are into that industry. So if your tool is not, working properly, your screwdriver and all your tools are not working, how you will perform that drill in your practical application? Yeah.
Exactly. You really need to, at the end of the day, because it's not really about your own degree. Anyone can get a degree with the title chemical engineering on it. But of course, it all comes down to the skill set that you have, what it is that you're offering. You can have someone that doesn't have an engineering degree but knows about engineering than you do. So it all comes down to, of course, how much you're willing to work on it and how much you're willing to learn as much as possible. So thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you. I would like to ask you about the industry that you've been working in, because you have been working in the paint industry for many years now. Back in the day, paint industry or coatings, it was very much related to, let's say, chemist and chemistry. But in recent times, the industry has opened its door for chemical engineers, and they have realized that chemical engineers need to come in and design with the QC and quality and production and so on. If you could, based on your own experience, how do you feel that chemical engineers fit into the paint industry? What roles are there for them?
See, what the best thing about chemical engineering is that we are open to any segment, any sectors where chemical handling is required. So the chemist will only work in quality control. He cannot work in other stream. Or maybe this, I'm saying in a generalized way, maybe there are fantastic people on the ground who can work. I'm not saying that. But the initial idea, if you can say, that it becomes sometimes difficult for a chemist to work in handling plant or in handling that. So that's what I'm saying. In my first job, why he has hired chemical engineer? Because they can perform multiple tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So that has opened the gate for the chemical engineers to work.
Mm-hmm.
They can learn, they can perform that duty, they can do the R&D work also, they can do the quality work also, they can run the plant also.
Mm-hmm.
So that has opened the versatility of chemical engineers in coating industry, to be precise in that. For example, if you are a chemical engineer, you're working in a quality control, and someone has gone resign, or you cannot hire someone in production, and you need
Mm-hmm.
some person in house to do that work.
Mm-hmm.
So you will find that you will train them in 2 months, 1 or 2 months, and he is ready to work. He's
Mm-hmm.
ready to work in the same field,
Amazing.
because he's aware of the management, he's aware of the end product, he's aware of
Mm-hmm.
everything. Just he know he need to perform that duty during that 1 or 2 months, and
Mm-hmm.
he is totally trained up. So any chemical handling, I guess, chemical engineers is such a fantastic field where you're
Mm-hmm.
open to any division in the market. Not
Amazing.
only not only oil and refinery. Yes, in terms of finance, you can say oil refineries are the best, are
Mm-hmm.
the best. There is no doubt on this. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying there are so much of probability where you cannot land up to that job.
Of course. Yep.
So what you have the other option.
Mm-hmm.
Your market is open, your industries are open. You can go to any field
Mm-hmm.
in terms of your technical knowledge, which is your toolkit.
Exactly. And because, chemical engineering is such a versatile degree and you learn so many things that you can easily adapt to many different industries and many different roles. But then having said that, if I was to ask you if someone out there, a graduate, would like to pursue a career in the paint industry, in your opinion, what are the skill sets or the topics that they should be focusing on before graduating so that they can really maximize their chances of entering the industry?
See, yes, if you are restricting to any topic, I will say process calculation is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Fluid flow operations, which is the main core of coating, fluid flow, because the paint you apply on the wall has some fluid flow characteristic which you need to put on that substrate. Basic chemistry is involved in it. Basic chemistry, repulsion force, and the electrostatic stabilization. Some basic chemistry, you will get an idea of it. Then I think so. Chemical economics, just chemical economics is required everywhere. The depreciation and asset value, you need to understand how much this machine will go to how many years. Material of construction is very important. You can say there are some topics, but I generally feel that you need to know everything. You
Mm-hmm.
also need to know when there is some fire, which fire extinguisher you need to use to extinguish that fire.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the
Yeah.
operators are not aware of this. And if you use water and suddenly this fire is some with other chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
which will give you more ignition to that water, then it will
Mm-hmm.
blast your factory. So
Yeah.
you need to
Mm-hmm.
know which extinguisher to use to handle
Mm-hmm.
that fire for that chemical. But
Interesting.
specific way, these are
Mhm.
involved.
Interesting. So yeah, so you kind of have to focus on all the topics you could say. And just like you said earlier, it's a good idea to have a very core fundamental knowledge in everything. And then later on, even if you don't choose to use one of the information, it's still good to have it. You never know when that might come in handy. So
Right.
thank you very much for that. And moving away from your experience, we would like to talk about Saudi Arabia. I mean, like you said earlier, Saudi Arabia is the hub of Middle East in terms of the industry, in terms of the job opportunities, and it's a very attractive country for, especially for chemical and petroleum engineers. And then, just like you said earlier as well, due to the financial reasons, due to the job prospects, and of course, finally being the oil tycoon that it is. Uh, for the people that are planning or wish to go and work in Saudi Arabia, what would be some of the tips and guides that you would be willing to share?
See, I will feel that one thing is sure. See, in my time, I was a little lucky enough,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel they should do some good amount of work in India. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that
Mm-hmm.
they should be thorough with some experience to land a good job first. because no one will teach you here. It's not India, the home country which you are in, where people, how they are, how their work culture is, how to extract information, that. But when you are exposed to other nationalities, you are not aware. Really, you are not aware. So you have to do it on your own. They will just directly give you the responsibility and work.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think that an experience in India is a plus point, is a major advantage
Mm-hmm.
working here back then. The process is pretty similar. If you go to any consultant or you see the newspapers article, if you get any opportunity, you can go and directly get an interview. The process, the visa process is quite not complex as terms of European and other countries are concerned. They will directly give you the visa and they will do every other process once they feel you are eligible enough to work there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Once you are done with it. And secondly, uh, when you are out of that country, and for example you are giving all that medical examination, everything,
Mm-hmm.
so you need to be aware that you will be out of your family
Mm-hmm.
for initial 1 or 2 years, or 1 year you can say. After that you
Mm-hmm.
can bring your family once you are settled, because the first 3 months is your probation period. In that they will judge you whether you are capable to work properly or not. So in that 3 months, sometimes they will feel no, it is not possible, you have to come back. So your job is not certain outside, so you cannot bring your family because it's
Mm-hmm.
too hectic to again go
Okay.
back, come there. So initially 3 to 4 months, 6 months, you will get time to settle it down. You have to be aware that 1 year I will be
Mm-hmm.
in connection, with my family. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, once your job is secure and everything is done, you are aware what market, what grocery you can get. Then you can bring your family there and you can stay there in any area. So this one thing. Secondly, if you are really trying to go to Saudi Arabia, there is some other process also. You have to take some visas, visit visas or something. You have to take like free visa. Free visa is available. So free visa is available, then you can get that free visa, go there, find some opportunity, and then they will give you the transfer. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess better to get a consultant or something related to proper company, because you will get a proper company there.
Mm-hmm.
You get professionalism there, you will get a professional company there, they will
Mm-hmm.
have your security will be there when you go back there. So that is a good process. That is the
Mm-hmm.
only process which I recommend anyone who are trying to go to Saudi Arabia to get, because
Mm-hmm.
it will be your safety first.
Of course.
Safety is really important. So I will
Mm-hmm.
recommend to go to any good consultant which is good enough to get
Mm-hmm.
opportunities from Saudi Arabia, even from UAE, from Qatar, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is possible, and then apply. Yeah, so these
Okay.
two areas, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. But then, because like I said earlier in the very beginning as well, that moving to Saudi Arabia, of course, has Arabic language, and moving out there, then there is a huge language barrier if you want to go and find job and work and so on. But in your experience, how has that been since you've been working in as a chemical engineer? Do you feel that did you have the need to learn Arabic, or was English good enough to work with the operators and all the other senior management?
See, the best part of working in Middle East is that they are open to every language.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are. The main language is Arabic, which is the main CEO of that company or the main manager will speak the Arabic language. But Hamza, they are educated.
Mm-hmm.
They are into the chemical stream. They are not
Mm-hmm.
into the food industry where you are opening a grocery shop or a furniture shop. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. They are educated. They are, some professional doctors and some professional engineer holders are
Mm-hmm.
starting up a plant. So they are aware of the English language. English language is widely spoken in terms of technicalities. That's
Mm-hmm.
because there are certain terminology which you need the help of
Mm-hmm.
technical knowledge of English, you can say. But to go to that superiority, Arabic is a addition bonus for you. You will
Mm-hmm.
get that bonus, you will get that benefit when you go to any restaurant or when you go to any malls or when you go to interacting with the higher authority. It will add your benefit. But
Mm-hmm.
knowing English language, even your upper management are aware of it. They are learning, they are saying the same thing. And the added advantage is that, the immigration process where the lower workers are mostly, you can say, not the lower people who are working at the lower colleague who are doing the odd jobs. They have that, desi language with them. So you need someone who can speak English, and you need someone who can do that, handle them also.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this way you can balance it out. But
Oh,
really, if you're learning Arabic, it will really help you out. It will really help you out. Now,
amazing. Okay.
for me, it was not a big headache. You can
Mm-hmm.
say, uh,
Okay.
yeah, being a Muslim, you are aware of that language firstly. But sometimes who are not in religion, and they will face that problem initially. But I knew
Mm-hmm.
Arabic way before,
Mm-hmm. Great.
so
Yep.
some basic terms I know. I cannot read fully Arabic, but I know certain terms. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. But that's amazing. So that means that knowing Arabic can be a benefit, but it's not a requirement for you to get a job in Saudi Arabia. And it's very interesting what you said, that of course the laborers that are working there, they are mostly from the South Asian countries. So you are kind of like a bridge between the management and to the laborers, because you can do both. So that's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing that. But moving to Saudi Arabia in general, and now you came from India and then you moved to Saudi Arabia. And of course, not just these two countries, but even if you went to the US or you went to Germany, uh, there tends to be a great deal of cultural shock. You go there and people have very different culture, very different way of life. Uh, how was that for you when you went to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, it's quite different. It's quite
Mm-hmm.
different. Living culture is quite different. I have gained, in last 7 to 8 years, a lot of amount of weight, because in India you are walking down the street, and your physical exercise is going on, whether you go to
Mm-hmm.
gym or you don't go to gym.
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
here the process is quite different, because the climate, actually the climate
Yep.
is the factor where you face an issue. The climate is
Mm-hmm.
hot, sometimes it is very cold. You cannot go down the street and walk,
Mm-hmm.
because it's harsh. The climate is harsh. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be in that isolated areas, where you have to go directly to that A to B, whether to
Mm-hmm.
go by bus or taxi, or by car. You need that sort of isolation. Yes, this is the difference between the Indian, living in India, where you can easily roam outside, go anywhere as you like. But
Mm-hmm.
when you are especially in Middle East, you cannot each time go outside because of the weather. And that's why the nightlife, you can say, here is more compared to the day life. Day life
Mm-hmm.
is more isolated. The nightlife is open. So whether when the sun is down and you feel little breezy out there, so you tend to go anywhere during the night time rather than the daytime.
Okay,
So
interesting.
this is what the difference is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yep, exactly. But then, like in the very beginning, you said yourself as well that there was a great deal of work culture between the two countries. Of course, we hit the topic where you mentioned that being in Saudi Arabia, you had a much more freedom to do multiple tasks, which was sadly not possible in India. Apart from that, because work culture also plays a very important role. Like for example, in India, for example, there is a great deal of formal hierarchy when you're working at the office. Whereas in the European countries, they tend to have a very flat hierarchy. There isn't really that much formality talking to your colleagues. In terms of that, how was that working in Saudi Arabia? What do you feel is the work culture when you're working?
See, in India, the environment of work culture is, when you are have the same amount of language being spoken.
Mhm.
So that gives you added advantage to have the interaction going pretty smooth, or
Mhm.
your gelling up is more easy. compared to working in Saudi Arabia. So, okay, so you have one from India, one from Egypt, for example, one from some other countries, Arabian countries or some Asian countries. So initially, you will find difficulty in interacting it. So it will take a lot of time. Sometimes you will feel that this person is doing something bad for me or something that, but it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. So human, you can understand that globally human are the same irrespective of the language spoken, irrespective of the people you are being with. So this will take you a lot of time to learn that. But in India, in 1 or 2 months, you are aware that this guy is this and this guy is that. So clear picture is being given. But when you are here, it takes certain amount of time to understand that person
Of
in
course.
terms of environment or work environment, or getting some amount of work done by someone.
Okay, well, that's very nicely described, and of course, that is understandable when you're working with people from all around the globe. And you said yourself earlier that people come from different backgrounds, different countries. It just takes time getting used to their own culture and their own expectations as well. So that is, of course, very understandable. Uh, uh, but now let's move on and let's talk about the job prospects in Saudi Arabia for chemical engineers. And of course, you are working in the paint industry, but Saudi Arabia itself, it has vast opportunities for chemical engineers. And normally, when people think of Saudi Arabia, they only connect it with oil and gas. And that is, of course, because they are one of the biggest providers of oil and gas. Apart from that typical industry, what other industries do you feel that are nowadays growing in Saudi Arabia for chemical engineers?
See, there are many industries right now. Now with the new government which is being formed, they are open to the manufacturing division.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, the export was at higher level. Now the manufacturing is being emphasized, and made in Saudi is going on. So now there is a vast opportunity. Whether the second big thing after oil is the lubricant division. Why? Because there are most number of cars going around, so you need diesel oil, engine oil, everything.
Mm-hmm.
We have lubricant having a huge
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. You have the plastic division where you make this all the plastic bottles and everything. So many industry, I cannot target or describe a specific, but once you go deep and you try to figure it out which industry I need to work, there is a scope here. I
Okay.
can I can I can guarantee you that. So you are landing with the first job which is required. You are working in that industry, and if you are trying to find out that industry in another country, that will be a great plus point for you. So it should not be that if you are working in a oil field and suddenly you go to another industry and working in a water treatment plant or something like that. This should be the case actually.
Okay.
So I will suggest that if you get your first job in that specific industry, try to work on that. You will find a
Okay.
way.
Amazing. Thank you. But now you said but like you mentioned that with the new government that has come into Saudi Arabia, there is a great deal of transformation that's happening in Saudi Arabia from being relied on oil and gas, but now they are trying to divide up their industries into many different new industries. And you've been here and you've been in Saudi Arabia for the past 7 years now, and you have been the witness to this transition. In your opinion and in your experience now, how do you see Saudi Arabia has changed in terms of the chemical market for chemical engineers?
A lot, a lot,
Mhm.
a lot. There are future projects which are in the line where a lot of foreign entities are very much interested in the investment. So you can say before the UAE was the international, the main foreign investor players. Now there is one more in the market, which is Saudi Arabia, because the added advantage of Saudi Arabia is the land. The
Mhm.
market size is huge. So that opens the gate of many foreign investors to try to get their own manufacturing plant here or their own capacity here, so that they can fulfill the market. Yeah, there is good. I think so. If you say 5 or 6 years, there will be a big transformation here. big transformation.
Okay, amazing. And then final question I'll ask you is that, of course, oil and gas industry, it has been at the very top for the past, I don't know, 100, 200 years. But right now, even many oil companies, they are, or at least claiming to go towards the sustainability sector. And but we have seen in recent times, of course, with the electric cars coming in and then all the other transformations, the oil and gas sector is people have claimed that it will start to go down in the coming years. For chemical engineers who would like to work in Saudi Arabia for the future, what industry would you suggest that they should keep a lookout for that is expected to grow in the coming years?
See, I cannot suggest you a particular, industry, but I will say a good. You opened a point about the, the energy transformation which is going on. Now, if you can see the renewable division, the environmental friendly division is on a huge boom. So if I throw this bottle, now the government will tell us to make a bottle which will be recyclable.
Mm-hmm.
So in that section, if I say recycling operation will play a very important role in future. So
Okay.
recycling is the one which need to be done in a certain way. And secondly, the energy where you bring the source, which you said earlier it was oil. Now it should be have the alternative. We have the refrigerator during our time where freon gas was used.
Mm-hmm.
So now we doesn't have that because the environmental regulation and everything has been changed. So what I will suggest that please try to get more and more information on recycling and energy saving fundamentals, which is being going on right now with bioculture and with the challenging of environment is concerned and the APO free market going on. Try to get that because that will help you in future. Oil or I still think that oil will take time to decline because the globally the capacity is very huge. You cannot currently shut down like that. But I feel recycle operations, energy saving, cost saving, there should be boilers in futures which can run for 30, 40 years, where you will not form a scaling. Nowadays they have some chemicals which oppose your scaling or which decline your scaling by 10 years, 20 years like this. So in general, I'm giving the idea that, the cleaning and the recycling and environmental is playing an important role right now. And we need engineers for that, actually.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you so very much for sharing that very keen observation. And you're very right. I mean, oil and gas is here to stay. I mean, they have been ruling the industrial world for the past 100 years. They're not gonna disappear overnight. Now moving on, now we are in the time machine segment. Imagine that we could give you a time machine and you could go back to your old self anytime in the past. What suggestion would you give yourself in the to your old self that you wish someone had told you back then?
See, Hamza, what I have seen in my final year, there was one project we have to take. Okay, you have to complete that project during that 1 year. I have taken a lot of information which was theoretical, and I thought that maybe I would have gone to that plant and learned something. Maybe I would have done that. I would have known more information. So the isolation of practicality was missing with me. I was not open to practical solutions or practical working. I was not aware of any practical. I was very dumb at practical, you can say. I was good at theories, but I could not perform good practicals, which is required, and you have to work. So that I feel I would have worked more hard on my projects, and I've done more practical based on that. I could have gone more information better in a better way. This is what I feel really
Okay,
sometimes.
well, thank you so much for sharing that. Very last question that I will ask you is that what suggestion would you give for the future graduates about something that they should be doing while they are in school and before they graduate?
See, I will again focus on that, Hamza, that whatever knowledge, whatever semester you are working on, try to get basic out of it. What this subject is trying to say.
Hmm.
So, irrespective of your mark sheet, I still believe that mark is not the only criteria you to get a or land a job. Yes, there should be some minimum amount of mark you need to compete that, and you should get it. But don't lose hope that I have scoring less in a particular subjects. I'm not good at that. It's not like that. Try to get information what he's trying to say. The subject is trying to say, and secondly, be try to open yourself to seniors. The second time machine is that I would have worked more when I would have got contact with my seniors.
Hmm.
Seniors go land a job, so he is more open to you to share the knowledge rather than you are staying in your house and working and going to college. So networking nowadays is been very easy because of LinkedIn, but that time it was tough to get a hold of any seniors who has been working in the industry.
Hmm.
So I will suggest them to be these two aspects you should concentrate on, the networking and to get the basic.
Hmm.
So if you have that tick, both the tick, then your CV will come into play. Your CV will be more technical CV. You will have a good chemical terms involved in your CV. Terminology will be good. You have got a suggestion from your expert or your seniors that you should involve this in your CV. That will give you a more opportunity. So this will give your CV a good way of presenting yourself to
Hmm.
any
Hmm.
company.
Of course. Yep, that is very rightly said, of course. And getting that very core understanding, and just like we talked about earlier as well, the core fundamental knowledge that you have, that is very important because that is something that you will build up on once you go into the industry. And it goes hand in hand with what you learn from the field and from what you already know. So,
Yes, Hamza,
thank,
see, even for process engineers, they are working on the project.
mhm,
Initially, they need to know the core. They need to know
mhm,
the unit operation, what he's trying to
of
say.
course.
You need to know the
Hmm.
heat operation, what he's trying to say. So this
Exactly.
will set up your future calculation and future build up.
Mhm. Of course,
So
yeah. I mean, if you don't know what a crystallizer is, I doubt you'll be able to learn how to work with it later on, right?
exactly.
I fully agree. I fully agree with what you just said. But thank you so very much for the suggestion and for the wonderful insights that you shared with us today. This concludes all the questions that we had for you, and it goes without saying, we are truly grateful to you for sharing all this wonderful, detailed insights about your work experience, your job, and Saudi Arabia. But before we log off, is there anything else you would like to say?
No. Hamza, you are doing a great job. Actually, we are facing a lot of university problem from our university side. We faced a lot of problem that we are not exposed to the industry, and not many seniors been involved. So you're doing a fantastic job of getting all the knowledge of different industry and what they are doing, and telling the students what you have to do and what you have to decide. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for students to know what is going on and what I need to do because they are freshers and we are been in that place before as well. So to guide them is a good way to support, good ways to support. So good job,
Thank
Hamza. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for the kind words. It truly means a lot. Your appreciation really means a lot for us. So thank you very much. And uh, these initiatives are only made possible because of people like you who are willing to share their knowledge with the future graduates. So to be very honest, we are truly grateful to you for sharing your time and for sharing all the insights. So thank you so very
Thank
much. Thank you.
thank you for having me, Hamza.
Thank you for listening. And if you have not done so already, remember to become a free member at Chemical Engineering Life. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts with chemical engineers. Thank you and have a great day.